Did you know that there are so many different types of disc brake pads? Well, now you do. Let's learn more. Thanks for tuning in to Tuesday Tech Tips on CycleCraft TV. You know, it seems these days you can't buy a bicycle that does not have disc brakes on it. Even less expensive models are coming out of the box with them. So if you have disc brakes on your bike, at a certain point you're going to need to replace those pads. Well, how do you make sure you're getting the right ones? That's what we're here for. So the tricky part is that there are a lot of different manufacturers who all make different models, and they all have different brake pads. And why? Well, because why would they make it easy? So when you need new brake pads for your bike, here's what you're going to need to know. First, obviously, you're going to need to know the brand of the brake. Now, they're the main ones that are Shimano, SRAM, Magura, Hope, Promax, Tektro, probably loads of others that we've never even heard of from all over the world. But you're going to need to know the brand of the brake. The second part is that you're going to need to know the model of the brake. Now, depending on what type of bike it is, whether it's a mountain bike or a road bike, there are different models of brakes that they're going to be using from different manufacturers on your bike. And even within those different models, there are sometimes different generations. For example, a Shimano road brake, there was Ultegra 6700, well, Ultegra 6800, 6900, 8000, so on. So you need to make sure that you've got the right generation of brake when you're choosing your pad. And the third thing you're going to need to figure out is whether you want a metallic pad or a resin pad. And this is kind of what the purpose of our video is here today, to basically tell you what's the difference between a metal pad and an organic pad. Now, naturally, there are going to be pros and cons to either type. Now, let's start out by saying that most bikes will come out of the box with an organic pad already installed. And when you wear that pad out, and when you're deciding that you want to put new pads on, now you have a choice. You could get a metal pad or you could get an organic pad. So an organic pad is actually made from organic material. So it's generally it's going to be some fibers of either glass, rubber, or carbon that are kind of melted together with some heat-resistant resin and glued onto the backing plate for the brake pad. The metallic pad, on the other hand, is actually made from compressing metal dust, or sintering. That's where the word sintered comes from. So a sintered brake pad is compressed metal dust that is also then glued onto the backing plate. So some people prefer the organic pads because they're less expensive and they're quieter when braking. The downside, though, is that they will tend to wear faster, and on a long descent they suffer from a thing called brake fade due to overheating. Now, some people will prefer a metallic pad because it offers superior braking performance and it's longer wearing. It will also dissipate heat better on a long descent. The downside is they are more expensive and they're a little bit noisier when braking. Now, a question we often get at the service counter is, how do I know when to replace my pads? Well, it's pretty easy. When you have less than 1.5 millimeters of material left on the brake pad, it's time to replace them. Now, if you take a look at your pad and it's all the way down to the metal, stop riding. This is not a safe situation, and you could potentially damage the parts as well. So, good practice here is to check your brake pads often to avoid costly repairs and unsafe riding situations. Well, that's our Tuesday Tech Tip, whether or not you want organic or metal disc brake pads for your bike and how to figure out which kind you need. Thanks for watching CycleCraft TV, and if you enjoyed the show, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That's all I've got for you. I'm Brendan Poe for CycleCraft TV, and remember, keep the rubber side down.